The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and it's been a couple days since Elon Musk was announced to be buying Twitter, and there's an interesting effect that's going on where there's a lot of, just a lot of things have shifted, where, some people have left, some people are bemoaning kind of loss of the platform, other people are cheering. It kind of depends on who you follow. What I'm noticing is that depending, whatever algorithms they were using to kind of mix up the kind of content you would get in your feed, things seem to have shifted. So now, whatever bubble that you're in, you're getting more of that bubble. And I say that from, I've got Perch, I've got my comic shop account, I've got other accounts. And what I notice is the tone of what's going on Twitter is dramatically different depending on your accounts. My personal account, I have a lot of friends who are in the Pacific Northwest still. I have a lot of friends from California, some friends from Japan, some friends from New York. And by and large, I would say the tone is very dour, very like Twitter is coming to an end. Well, I guess we're leaving. The party's over. The hate people are here now. It's very kind of, the timeline is filled with that kind of stuff. There's not a lot of cross-pollination with other things. Meanwhile, if I go over to the Perch account, I'm getting a lot of people who are just, I would say it's more of a festival kind of atmosphere where people are positive, but more than that, they're like a lot of dumb jokes are coming out everywhere. And then my shop account, and I didn't realize this was the bubble apparently my shop was in. It's very like, oh, thank God the liberals are going away. Screw them. Donald Trump forever. That's what I'm getting there. So I'm learning about the three aspects of my personality via Twitter. But the one thing to draw out from all this, and it's the Perch account that feels the healthiest, because the Perch account, I've got a bunch of people who are right wing, left wing, straight, queer, all different followers there, which is always the funny, magical part when people tell me that, it's like whenever I read somewhere that Perch is, he's one of those CG. It's not CG adjacent anymore. It's CG associate, CG loosely partnered. I don't know. There's some kind of crazy term that is being used here, but my timeline, my Perch account is filled with a number of followers who are, card-carrying members of the LGBTQ community, like indie comics, like, anyway, it's just interesting to see kind of how it all goes. But the festival atmosphere is fun, and for the first time in kind of a while, it feels like we're almost to fun again with comics. And what I mean by that is that, I'm seeing people post panels from comics, panels from Spawn, panels from Trial of the Amazons, all different types of comics, everything in between. I saw somebody post a panel from Jawbreakers, and people are, making fun of it, but not, in my mind at least, not cruel fun of it, but fun of it. They're like, hey, look at this, what kind of gun is this kind of comment, or hey, in this pose, it looks like she has no organs, but making fun of the old where are her organs bit that would go on with a lot of J. Scott Campbell's drawings. But it actually feels like people are having fun, and this is what comics, I think, are when they're at their best. People are enjoying themselves. They're enjoying the comics. They're also making fun of the comics. And it got me thinking that one of the things that's been missing for the last 5-6 years is that it wasn't okay to make fun of comics. Now, to be clear, to be 100% clear, and the next time you see, Perch showing up in Reddit or CBR or one of these hate channels, please post in this video, because I want people to understand there's a big difference between having fun with a comic, like making fun of the fact that Brian Michael Bendis is, using 5,000 words on one page. And it's like, oh my God, I'm being killed by words. And kind of the jokes around that. That is, in my mind at least, harmless fun. I mean, I'm sure Bendis doesn't love seeing that kind of stuff, but it's not that nobody is like there's no worry that somebody's going to go and punch Bendis in the face for it. It's just people are having good times with it. It's like you post a page from Scenic Race's Iceman series where it's super weird. When Iceman Bobby Drake came out to his parents, it wasn't as much Scenic Race's writing; it was the drawing of Iceman where he looks just super like puppy dog eyes, like I'm gay, and it was comical. It was absolutely comical in how it was drawn and how it was delivered. That doesn't mean that so people who made fun of that, I don't know why people made, but if I was to make fun of it, and I could easily see myself making fun of it because it was a silly image, just I'm gay, kind of whoa whoa. It just the scene. I mean, because he's got kind of his head bowed, and he's like, oh, it was displayed in a funny way. Making fun of that does not mean that I'm making fun of gay people or people coming out, or that I like if somebody came out to me, I wouldn't support them. I think I've mentioned on this channel before, I had an employee who was very obviously gay who worked for me for a long time. And it was one of the interesting aspects of that. And one of the things I learned as a person was that you got to let people go through their own journey. They will, come out or talk about themselves on their own time. You can't force it. And so when he finally did come out, it was one of like, if I was to get the Academy Award for like best performance, it was he came out. It was like, well, we knew, but I'm glad. I'm good for you. That was the kind of. But in our, I mean, myself and the other people in the shop, I remember in our heads we were thinking like, I mean, yeah, we all knew. We knew. The clue was you were always talking about how much you liked men. That was the clue. We got it. But I mean, we loved the guy, and he was a good guy. He was an amazing store worker. I would if I talked about him before, I would hire him back in a second. He was incredible. Knew all the comics, great customer service, wonderful. The fact that he was gay was irrelevant to the fact that he was an awesome employee, and he was. Um, but this is what when we're having fun with comics, it's both reading, enjoying, feeling the emotion, having a great time with them, and also, yes, making fun of them, even making fun of comics we enjoy. I don't. If you're old enough to remember, back when Frank Miller was on Daredevil, or when Chris Claremont was doing Wolverine, there was a bunch of people would make fun of that shit. They'd be like, "I'm the best at what I do, and what I do isn't very nice, and what isn't very nice is the way I drink beer." And they would show like people would draw pictures of Wolverine like spilling beer all over himself. I mean, it was like they were dumb, harmless jokes. Larry Hama didn't see those things and like fly off the handle like, how dare you? You must be you're attacking an Asian writer. You must be a racist. There was none of that because there was a difference between making jokes about something and comics are best when you're able to mock them. The difference is there's and I think we all know intrinsically deep down that there's a big difference between making fun of like Chris Claremont saying the same goddamn phrase for the 50th time in a comic book, them's the breaks, kids, and whatever it happens to be, versus saying something like, you know, Gabby Rivera, whatever. Like some of the stuff with Gabby Rivera, I think is a great example because if you look at that America Chavez comic, there were panels and scenes in that comic which were painfully terrible, just terrible. That scene where she flies off with her girlfriend and Kate Bishop is like, one day I hope I can have a relationship like that. It was like an absurd panel. You can make fun of that. It was very funny. But if there's a massive difference between making fun of a comic for something like that and then saying Gabby Rivera shouldn't write comics because she's gay. I'm pretty sure she's gay or lesbian. I'm pretty sure Gabby Rivera is lesbian. But I think that you can make fun of comics and make fun of whatever's on the page without going into kind of a personal attack. And I think those are two very obvious differences. And what happened is, if you talk about the 80s, if somebody had gone up to Ann Nesenti or, Louise Simonson and said, women have no business writing comics, you dumb woman, get back in the kitchen. everybody would have found that offensive and found that, in poor taste. They would not have enjoyed that joke. However, if you would have made fun of like Louise Simonson's kind of writing tropes that she would use in X Factor, everybody would have a good laugh about that. That's how it was in the 80s. There's plenty of things to make fun of Larry Hama for. He had definitely stylistic things that he would go always to the well about, and people, the Marvel comic What The would make jokes about Larry Hama all the time. And I remember, like, they would sometimes draw Larry Hama into the comic books and they put him in a ninja outfit, which you could say, ooh, that seems racist. But Hama seemed to think that was funny and he had a good time with it. I don't know if they asked his permission or not, but it wasn't a personal attack. And today, in 2022, if you were to make fun of a book that, like, a Larry Hama was writing, I have a feeling that there'd be a bunch of people who would immediately kind of trash you as a bigot and a racist. And I guess my point to all this is what I'm seeing right now on Twitter, for whatever weird kind of cycle we're in between times or as things are getting shuffled out with an ownership change, whatever else, I'm seeing a lot of people just post panels in comic books, new and old, and they're cracking jokes and they're making fun, and it's enjoyable. Where people are having a laugh. People are having a good time. This is what comics should be. If you post a really cringy panel, you can laugh at it. It doesn't mean that the entire comic industry is dying. It doesn't mean that this is indicative of the 540 comics that are going to be produced this month. It just means that you can have a good laugh at it. And on the other end, if people are laughing at it, it doesn't mean that they're hateful comicscape people that are just out to kill everything and just hate all women and all minorities. Maybe it's just mean that people could use a good goddamn laugh. The times suck. Inflation's going through the roof. Gas is expensive. The virus keeps hanging on. Travel blows. We've got a complete cluster of politics between both parties. Russia's threatening nuclear war against Ukraine. I mean, like, for the love of God, can we not laugh at some silly panels? I think we can. And right now people are. And that's magical. That's wonderful. And I hope we can hang on to that because that's the best gift right now we can be given. And I think the funny part is, and so for the creators, for all of you listening to this right now, just let some of those jokes go by. They may hurt a little bit. Some of them may sting. Maybe you wrote a comic and you put a lot of effort into it. Somebody took a panel in your comic book out of context and they're mocking it. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. If it's not a personal attack, if nobody's calling you directly as a creator some kind of racist, sexist insult, why not just laugh along with everyone? You'll have a better time. Everyone will have a better time. Attention is going to your comic, and the world is better as a result. And that's all we can ask for in these times. Anyway, just something kind of, to me, this is a glass half full kind of thing. Look on the bright side. People are having fun again. People having fun again generally means comics are sold, people are happy, they're talking about stories. That's a good thing. Thanks for listening.